So I'm going to briefly go over some of the forms that are required to work as an independent contractor. The forms that are needed to work as an independent contractor are the W-7 form, but this is only if you do not have a social security number and are not eligible to get one. And this form is the form that is required to get an ITIN number. You need a W-9 form for tax purposes, and I will show screenshots of what these looks like so you can all get an idea of the type of information that they ask. You will also receive a 1099 form from all the different individuals that you contract with, and both of those forms are for the sole purpose of paying for your taxes. Lastly, I will talk about the importance of having a written and customized contract for each person that you contract with. So now I'm going to talk about the ITIN, which stands for the Individual Tax Identification Number. So the IRS issues the ITINs regardless of immigration status. And the only purpose of the ITIN is for federal tax reporting. Oftentimes what I like to say about the ITIN is that it's really intended to be for any foreigner who comes to this country to do business, and any foreigner can, and the U.S. actually encourages foreigners to come do business here. They get this ITIN number, which has the same number of digits as a social security number, and the only purpose for having that ITIN is just so that individuals that do come to do business in the U.S. Pay for the taxes, pay for taxes on any earned income generated from the business. So how to get one? You can get one either by mailing Form W-7 with the income tax return, or actually going in person to one of the IRS authorized certified acceptance agency. And in terms of the renewal, for the first time, the ITIN needs to be renewed. So as of January 1st, 2017. So all ITINs issued before 2013 will begin expiring this year. There is a process where it's based on certain number of digits will begin expiring, and those individuals will receive letters in the mail. So I know that some people were a little bit concerned about this renewal update, but it's really just intended for the IRS to keep track of who still has an ITIN number, because anybody who is eligible to get a social security number, specifically in the case of DACA individuals such as myself, we should actually no longer be using the ITIN at all. We should be sending a letter to the IRS notifying them that we now have a social security number. So this is what the W-7 form looks like. This is just the first part of it, but in general, it's going to ask just a lot of information about yourself. It will ask for some evidence of identification, and there are specific types of evidence that they accept, but nowhere on the application will it ask anything related to your immigration status. And again, this is important to know that the IRS is separate from DHS, again, all intended to promote business in the U.S. and for individuals to come. So that's why there is no relationship between the IRS and immigration authorities. And things to look out for, you always want to make sure that you have the most up-to-date forms. And when you download the forms, you should also be on the lookout for instructions to the forms. Always make sure that both the forms and the instructions are up-to-date and are the latest ones. You can download all these forms for free on the IRS website, even just doing a quick Google search for W-7 form or for any of the forms I discussed, you will find it downloadable for free. So this is what the W-9 forms, this one is, so this is the form that is given to every single client or payer that you work with. So for example, on a given year, I typically submit probably about 5 to 10 W-9s to every single person that I do any type of contractor work for. And as you can see in the form, this screenshot actually gives you all the information that you as an independent contractor need to fill out. So again, always make sure that you're working with the latest form. Right now, the latest one was revised December 2014. And on this form, you just have to fill out your name. You have to fill out the type of the appropriate box for federal tax classification. As an independent contractor, you would just fill out the first box. I will talk about the other business structures in a different webinar. You put in your address, and then very important in part 1, it actually says that you can put in your ITIN or your social security number. So this is where the W-9 greatly differs from the I-9, where it has nothing to do with your work authorization or your immigration status. Again, all it asks for is that ITIN number or your social security number or your employer identification number, which I'll talk about in a different webinar as well. And then this is a screenshot of the 1099 form. And this one, you do not fill out as an independent contractor. This is what you receive at the end of the year. And basically all this does is that the person you're working with tallies up how much money they paid you for the services. And at the end of the year, they send this back to you. So at the end of the year, you should collect as many 1099s as the W-9s that you received. So if I submit 5 W-9s, that I need to be getting 5 1099s. And these are the forms that I send to my tax preparer to help me do my taxes. And as an independent contractor, if you've never done taxes as an independent contractor, I highly encourage you to work with an expert, just because it can be a little bit complicated to gather all your forms and then fill out the right boxes when you are completing your taxes. So definitely encourage you to work with an expert on this.